and it let out this blood-curdling, guttural scream.
On the side of the road, he sees a deer carcass and something eating on it, which he thought was a bear. And as the lights hit it, it stood up. And, like, this gives me chills talking about it. He said it stood up and it had the face of a man.
Hello and welcome to another episode of the Bigfoots of America podcast show. This is episode 28, and I'm your host, Bryan Sawyer, coming at you, man. It's a Friday night here in Michigan, and man, I'll tell you, I just got back from a location where I think I hit the nail on the head. Long story short, those of you who've been tuning in, you know that one of the areas I focus on is the Black River. Well, I've learned from the Black River and other rivers from around the states, compiling all the information from the eyewitnesses, because I'm going to tell you right now, I have a handful of eyewitnesses who don't want their name out there. They don't want to be on a podcast show. They're worried about how people view them, and I respect that totally. So I've been invited out to a bunch of residences, where the residents tell me what's going on. And it usually has something to do with seeing Sasquatch in the tree line, like out their back door, out their back window. So I've been compiling a bunch of evidence, especially here in the Thumb, and I've really determined, at least here in Michigan, that Sasquatch nests down on the creeks or by the creeks and tributaries, the small ones that pour into the larger rivers that have all the fish. So when they wake up or whatever in the evening and they're hungry and they're heading out, they just follow that creek right down to the river, and they have their area where they get their fish, especially in the summertime. Because as I've said so many times before, I think through the wintertime, all they have is deer really. And come spring, man, they are so sick of deer that they want to start implementing the fish and all the other food sources and crops and everything that they feed on. Man, gee, everything starts coming out in the springtime. So with that said, I'm really excited. Today, episode 28, we have a special guest. His name is Robert Glenn Effler. Now, Robert is a founding member of the NCI team, and that stands for the North Carolina Investigators. They are a Bigfoot investigating team. Each member on the team are eyewitnesses of Bigfoot and have all their own stories about Bigfoot, encounters and everything. And they come together and they form this group, and they go and they speak around at conferences. I hope to be a part of that. I'm going to go with them down to the South Carolina Bigfoot conference here in October, I think October 11th. In Westminster, South Carolina, I believe it is. So I plan on being there. I'm really broken up. I was supposed to be on a hunt with them a week from tomorrow, but my end, I got some difficulties going on, so I can't make it. So bummed about that. But yeah, I can't wait to get down and actually meet these guys in person. But for the past few months, we've been all doing a national podcast show together called the NCI Investigates Team, and that's on the Channel 12 TV network out of Las Vegas. So check that out. It is a great platform. It's a live streaming platform, but also you can see other types of show, and it's really cheap, only $9.99 a month. It's just you get the app and you're able to see all the different shows, and it's a new and growing platform. Bigfoots of Michigan will end up being on there real soon. We're getting all our act together and we're sending them out. And then the Bigfoots of America podcast show will be on there as well. But there are a multitude other shows on there, which are just so fun and interesting. Everybody on there really have strong backgrounds in the cryptid paranormal areas. And it's nice to hear from different sources how it all plays into the big picture. And Robert Glenn Effler today really pours into the big picture. He is a veteran in the area of the paranormal. And man, I can't say many more good things about him. So I'm going to bring him on right now and let him tell you himself. Hey, Robert, you there?
Hey, buddy.
Man, good to see you, brother.
Good to see you, bud.
You got your coffee mug. I love it. I sent everybody on Facebook, I sent everybody from the NCI team these coffee mugs. When I come out and I do film a episode, everybody gets free bumper stickers, coffee mugs, all that kind of stuff. But back to you, Robert. So, man, you are a gentleman and a scholar. One thing I like about the NCI team is just how everything is so well balanced. That's what I was shocked when I was invited to come on your show. I was shocked because in the acting world, I have a background as an actor. Of course, I'm not a big Hollywood star, but I understand the basic mechanical workings of what works and what doesn't work. And being a part of an ensemble is always the key. So think of like the Friends show, any TV comedy show that has a strong ensemble. Usually, Seinfeld has great TV shows. Very rarely do you come across a one-man team like a Tom Cruise or a Brad Pitt. So that was one of the things I fell in love with is all you guys on the NCI team, because you're so well balanced, but you all have your own personalities and how it pours into the show, man. It's so funny. It's so well balanced. I'm always laughing. You guys have had me in tears multiple times. And that's part, yeah, and that's part of the draw of the show is it's so fun and funny, but yet we're also very serious about the subject of Bigfoot, Sasquatch, Sabe, because many people out there who have had encounters, it has affected their lives very strongly and kind of, left a heavy mark, even to the point of PTSD, where some people are a little bit marred and they need help. They need to have a platform where they're able to talk about that. And the NCI show, we accommodate everybody there. And that's what's so cool. But Robert, for the folks at home who are watching this podcast show right now, we want to get to know more about you, your background, how you got started. So I'm going to shut up right now, and I'm going to let you roll with it. Let's act like nobody knows anything about you, and it's your turn, my friend.
Well, to be quite honest, Bryan, I originally started out in 2007, formed a team called Go Dark Paranormal Investigations,
Okay.
and that's where I really truly got my start at was ghost hunting.
So you
And
start out ghost hunting. Okay.
and then in 2012, I started getting some reports in my area here in Western North Carolina on Bigfoot, and I was, just basically dumbfounded because I thought, like most anybody else, you mentioned Bigfoot, I thought, well, you're talking about Bluff Creek, you're talking about Boggy Creek, you're talking about the Himalayas,
Yep.
anywhere but here. Well, I got
Right.
to doing a little bit of research and so forth, and between BFRO and some locals that I've been talking to, I thought, well, wait just a minute, there might be something other to this.
Okay.
And I joined up in 2019. Well, no, I take that back. I told you a story. It wasn't 2019, it's 2017.
Okay.
I joined up with a team out of McDowell County that hosts the Western North Carolina Bigfoot Festival every year in Marion, North Carolina. Bigfoot 911. So I got with those guys, and in 2019, I had my first encounter, and I had two of their team members with me. Granted, we wasn't prepared or anything. Encounter, it just blew my mind. I really truly wasn't expecting anything. We didn't intentionally go into the area on a Bigfoot investigation. We was just going from what we'd learned and what we'd researched on the internet and everything. We was looking for footprints, tree structures, and so forth. And then, lo and behold, that's when I seen my first two, and it was a bug it bit, and it's not slowed down since.
What was it
Then
like?
with the same,
What was it like when you first saw those first two? What color were they? Male, female?
well, as far as their gender, I have no idea. The first one was a juvenile, probably around the size of a 5 to 8 year old kid, light
Wow.
blonde in color from the top of its head to the end of its toes. It was about, probably around about 100, maybe 120 yards out up on side of a ridge. They were basically playing. The time of year was about 19th or the 20th of November, just before deer season started. My philosophy on whether you're ghost hunting or anything else for that matter, don't go in the woods during deer season. To me,
Right.
that's disrespectful to the other hunters. And
Yeah.
plus, on top of that, you don't want to put yourself in a dangerous situation, anyways. And I just try to make it a habit and a practice. When deer season's going on, stay out of the woods. And when me and Brad and Nick saw those first two, it was just, I couldn't believe what I was looking at.
You
It
said
just
blonde in
blew
color?
my. The first one, the juvenile, was light blonde in color from the top of its head to the end of its toes.
Wow.
And I've seen bobcats, I've seen bear, I've seen deer. I mean, every agile creature known to man in the woods, I've seen them. I've never seen anything that was this quick, this fast, and this agile, and moved that smooth. There was no way. We were probably, give or take, close to about 2 miles or so away from the truck and the area where we was at. If you GPS shot it any way you wanted to, the closest house was probably 8 miles away in any direction. So I mean, we were back in the boonies.
Deep back in there.
Oh yeah. And the one that was with it, if it hadn't have moved, I wouldn't have seen it.
Oh wow. Was it a different color or the second one?
Yeah,
So the first one was
it was.
blonde.
The other one that was with it was light brown in color.
Okay, light brown.
How come me to see it? It was around about 3 or 4 o'clock in the afternoon, and in wintertime in November down here the sun sets pretty quick. By 5 o'clock, it's already dark, and we'd got a late start, and we got in the woods. Never thought we was totally unprepared. Only flashlight we had was our cell phone. I, the anything else that we normally would take in the woods, we didn't. I mean, we were just going in blind, just looking to see if the area did in fact produce enough evidence to go back to do a nighttime investigation or even a daytime investigation
Right.
to figure out the area, make sure if something really was to go haywire, like if you got between a mama and her cubs, or you got in on a pack of coyotes or something like that, you would know which direction to run so you wouldn't get hurt. But this area hit with the terrain, you just about had to be part billy goat to get in there. It was that steep on either side. And it was just basically, a trail cut in between a rock face on your left and on your right as well. So, but when the sun was setting, we were in the shadow line, and we were just standing there talking. What caught our attention, we found a pine tree about 6 foot tall, missing a top. We couldn't figure out where the top of the tree went. For the past 2 weeks, weather-wise, there wasn't no storms, wasn't no rain, wasn't no high winds. The ground was just as crunchy as a bag of potato chips. Just as dry as a powder keg in the woods. I mean, if you throw a cigarette down, I mean, you'd spark a forest fire in a heartbeat. I mean, that's, giving you an idea on how dry the weather was for 2 solid straight weeks. I mean, no rain, nothing.
Sure.
I mean, you could have heard a squirrel at 200 yards and it just sounded like a bull elephant coming through the woods. But like I said, we was trying to stand there. We was standing there trying to figure out where the top of this tree went. Tree's about that big around, missing the top. We couldn't find the top. There wasn't no straight line winds or anything else that could have caused that. It was just like the top had been snapped off.
Okay.
Well, we was just standing there trying to figure out what was going on, and I just happened to see something other out of the corner of my eye flicker. And the first thing that popped in my head was, well, we've either got a deer hunter in the woods that stowed down a soda can, or, something other along those lines. That's what the sun's reflecting off of.
Right.
And when I finally turned my head and looked, that's when that juvenile took off running across the log, made a head first dive into a laurel thicket, hit the ground just like a cat. Never made a sound.
Oh my goodness.
And I was just standing there completely, totally dumbfounded the whole entire time it was going on. My buddy Brad, I was elbowing him just as hard as I could elbow him, saying, "Did you see that? Did you see that?" And I turned around and and the look on his face, he was like Gomer Pyle. He was like, "Golly!" And I mean, seriously, I mean, that's, not trying to be dramatic, but I mean, that's the look that he had. And his brother Nick got to see the last half a second of the juvenile going in because he was perplexed and fixated on trying to figure out where the top of the tree was. And the whole entire time, I forgot he was there. I was just elbowing Brad as hard as I could elbow him.
Right.
And then I seen something other else move, and I hollered, pardon my French, but I hollered and I said, "Oh shit, Brad." I said, "There's another one with it." And he said, "Yes, they are." This one was about 4 foot wide at the shoulders, like a piece of plywood with a head stuck on it. It just backed up against a tree that Brad and I both couldn't have reached around it. I mean, this oak tree was huge, big old white oak. It backed up against that and slid down in behind that log. I guess it was up there playing, sunning, or whatever. I don't know if that was its mama. I don't know if it's his daddy, his grandpa, uncle, or, however
Right.
the Bigfoot clan, rolls. I don't know, but we weren't close enough, to see skin color, gender, none of that. It's just, and after everything was all over said and done, we just had the dumbest look on our face there ever was. Nick said, I looked at Brad and I said, "You know what we forgot?" He said, "What?" And this happens to anybody, everybody, I don't care. Seasoned investigators, rookie investigators. I've even seen it happen to paranormal investigators. Why didn't I take a picture or a video of that?
There it is.
Everything, in that moment, it seems like it goes on forever, but it's only just a matter of seconds or microseconds when something like that happens. Last thing on anybody's mind is that camera.
Sure, for sure. Anything dramatic like that, you get in a car accident, anything, you're not thinking of pulling out your camera. You are being so physically, emotionally, mentally, spiritually being affected by looking at this Bigfoot that, yeah, that's the last thing that's on your mind is grabbing a camera. Unless you're primed, unless you're ready to go. But like you guys were just out there kind of like I was the other day, just kind of taking a look around to see if, this could be an area. And then all of a sudden, there is a blonde Sasquatch. Now, do you think he converted? You think they saw you first, and then that adolescent, that young Sasquatch, it ran off to the thicket, and you said it went down like a cat, huh, on all fours. And
Well,
boy, that must
when he hit the ground after he went in head first,
gotcha.
just like somebody diving off of a diving board. When he went into the laurel thicket, he hit the ground just like a cat. Never made a sound. Never made a
Oh, that's
sound.
awesome. And so fast, right?
And,
So quick.
oh yeah, I mean, seriously, heart attack. I've seen bobcats. I've seen squirrels. I've seen anything that's agile, quick in the woods. I've seen it. A deer hunting. I've never seen anything move that smooth, that quick. So I've had people ask me, said, "Well, don't you think it could be somebody in a suit up there monkeying with you?" No. Jesse Owens couldn't move like that in a Bigfoot suit. There's
That's
no
right.
way.
Yeah, I've heard they move so fast, like especially this latest Monroe monster. The father and the son, who both eyewitnessed it, they said this thing moves so fast you can't see the legs moving. You know?
Well, I wasn't exactly paying attention to the legs. I was just plumb befuddled on what I was seeing because anytime I see something other than I'm standing there, it's like when me and George and Harley was in East Tennessee back in the spring. I stood there and watched for, I guess it was probably 45 seconds, and I was running a Rolodex in my head, trying to get, is that a bear? The shadows
Yeah.
not matching up to anything that I'm seeing. And then when it leaned out, because Harley was within about 25 yards of it before I hollered at him and told him to stop. We were
Wow.
being paralleled to our left. Harley was paying attention. I was watching the trail in front of us. George was behind his paying attention to the same thing Harley was, but George was monkeying with his camera, trying to get it to come on where he could, put it on his shoulder harness.
Right?
And when he leaned out behind that tree and looked at me dead in the face, I mean, his skin was just as black as coal dirt, wide bridged nose, lanky. Just he looked like one of the L.A. Lakers. What he looked like. And when he took off like a rocket, cleared over 100 yards in less than 7 seconds.
Oh my goodness. 100 yards in less than 7 seconds.
As we saw him at the other end, but we couldn't get our cameras to focus in. There's too much laurel in between us. We seen him sitting down there. He's like, "Well, ain't you going?" And Harley said, "Wait a minute." He said, don't go." I said, "What's the matter?" He said, "He's distracting us from the one that's behind us." So we just stood our ground and let him walk off like, "Well, I've got an egg on my face. That plan didn't work." I don't know what was going on and what was on their mind, but the one that was paralleling us, I don't know if he had some ill intentions or
Right.
what, but that one that ran across the trail in front of us, he acted to me like he was trying to get us to chase him. They may have been more than that one that was in the laurel bushes off to our left. I have no idea.
Interesting. Interesting. The whole clan.
But it wasn't, well, when that happened, we wasn't but 80 yards from where George had his first encounter with alfalfa.
Okay.
Now, for those that don't know who alfalfa is, I'm not talking about alfalfa off the Little Rascals.
No.
George had his first sighting with Harley, and I'm gonna make a long story short. The creature that he saw had a big bunch of tuft of hair sticking straight up on top of his head, and we usually nickname our creatures if if it strikes a certain chord,
Right.
and we nicknamed him Alfalfa because he had that hair sticking straight up, just like Alfalfa off of Little Rascals, the black and white TV show.
That's awesome. They named it Bigfoot Alfalfa because it had a tuft of hair that kind of stuck up. That's awesome.
That's the first thing popped in my head when George told me what he saw, and I said, "Well, George, you saw Alfalfa." And we just said, "Yep, that's what we're going to name him, is Alfalfa."
Awesome. Awesome. Is that near the that area you're talking about? What did you say? East Tennessee?
East Tennessee.
Is that near where Harley got the pictures of the dogmen?
Exactly.
Wow. So that whole area then is just a epicenter of paranormal activity.
Well, what got us into that area, Harley lived over naturally, and we had, I think it was 2021, if I'm not bad for, there was two attacks. I'm not going to give the location of the town or the location of the road
Okay.
just yet. But there were two individuals. One was male, one was female. Supposedly, according to the police department, paramedics
Uh-huh.
were killed by wild dogs.
Okay.
That was not wild dogs that killed those two individuals. It didn't happen on the same night. It was several months apart in exactly the same spot where the roads intersect.
Wow.
So
So you So you got to come on.
with
Hey, everybody! Hey, Robert. Let me check in with Face. This is the first time I'm doing this, so we got kind of a special episode going on with you. Hey, Facebook Live people. We're interviewing Robert Glenn Effler from the NCI Investigates team here on a Friday night. He's talking about all his activity, his Bigfoot sightings. Um, just fantastic. There's an epicenter in East Tennessee, Bigfoot, dogmen. They one adolescent Bigfoot, blonde hair. When it ran off, it jumped headfirst into the thicket like a cat would, and just kept going. Boy, lickety split, super fast. Talking about George Lunsford seeing his alfalfa Bigfoot because it had a big tuft of hair on top of his head. But that's why we thought we'd share a little bit on Facebook Live tonight. We might do a lot more live videos on Friday nights if you all are interested. But getting back to Robert, man, that's good stuff. And that's so neat that the whole team is there and seeing all this activity going on, because then you could corroborate, and it's better to have more witnesses than just one, because there's so many naysayers out there. Now there's getting to be less and less, but there's still a lot of people out there who consider this a joke. Basically, they're out of touch. They're on the show, it's what I said. They're the same people who sit home on a Sunday in their lazy boy chairs telling the quarterback on TV in the NFL what he should have done on that play. Oh, you should have done this, should have done that. That same type of person is sitting there saying Bigfoot doesn't exist. But yeah, so
oh
you
yeah,
guys are out there.
I run into those jokers on a daily basis, and to be quite honest, I'm not going to lie about it, and I'm not going to sugarcoat anything. But the ones, it's like playing the lottery. You're not going to. Ouch! Hold on, just 1 second. My battery's dying on my laptop. I thought I
No,
had a
do what you
charger.
got to do.
No,
Hey,
you're
everybody.
fine.
Yeah,
There
I'll
we
be
go.
releasing this episode tomorrow, probably around 9 a.m. But you can also see all of these shows, the NCI show, soon the Bigfoots of America podcast show. All of these shows can be seen on the Channel 12 TV network app, a live streaming platform. Man, so much paranormal stuff. And then, yeah, other shows as well. So we'll try to promote that in this video. I'll put a link to that, the Channel 12 TV network app. Subscribe to that. I believe it's still only $9.99 a month. And yeah, brand new platform. And we just want to make it a world of the paranormal and cryptid and fun shows too, like, gosh, cartoons, everything. So, all right, Robert, we're coming back to you. All right, what else you got for us, man? You guys are just so in depth too. We dig deep. It's they said most sightings of Bigfoot are what, between 5 and 11 seconds, I think is what it was. But man, with all of your knowledge, man, you're going into multiple stories, multiple days. But yeah, go ahead. What else you got for us? I know I'm excited about your the encounter every time I hear this on your property and the ones where your
Mm.
dogs are reacting. Yeah, go ahead and tell us about that.
Well, be quite honest, boom, boom. Uh, that that Bigfoot that's on my property really and truly shocked me. I would have never thought in a million years that that I would have one here. Now we've been catching some strange smells and livestock guardian dogs acting funny. Uh, as you know, me and my wife owns a goat farm, and we try to do everything in the world that we can protect them goats because they're just like our youngins. I mean, her youngins is grown and gone. My youngins is grown and gone. Neither one of us has any grandkids or anything. So technically speaking, the goats and the dogs and the cats and the chickens and the pigs, that's our youngins and our grand youngins. I mean, bottom line, cut and dried, no ifs, ands, or buts. I mean, that's all
Awesome.
we got.
Right.
So when Jethro, he's the chief of security, so to speak. He's about 120 pounds.
Okay.
He's like E.F. Hutton. When he speaks, you listen.
What type of dog is Jethro?
He is a great Pyrenees.
Great Pyrenees. Nice.
Hercules is also a great Pyrenees. Uh, Charlie, he's also a great Pyrenees.
Ooh.
And Pebbles, she is also a great Pyrenees.
So you got four Great Pyrenees.
Yes, sir, I sure do.
Wow. Hercules, wait, Jethro, Hercules, Pebbles, and what was the other one?
Charlie.
Charlie. Awesome. Go ahead.
And they pretty much, they were quite honest. They listen better than regular youngins do when mine was growing up. But they know their job. They know, how to patrol and watch out for the animals and everything. They keep the bears out. They keep the coyotes out and everything else. One particular night, we were just sitting there and over at the barn, and I know when coyotes or bear or something like that show up, Jethro's
Right.
got this one particular sound. It's a real low, slow, rolling growl. I mean, it's a guttural growl that will get your attention quick. It's kind of like I dare you to do something. So he goes over in the field and he goes looking straight up the ridge. And me and my wife had done smelt something other funky. I kind of had an idea what it was, but I really, truly, honestly did not want to believe it.
Okay.
And Jethro was just acting completely funny. I said, Jethro, what is it? He wouldn't acknowledge nothing. Well, this happened on several occasions, and one particular evening we were sitting there at the house. I mean, strange stuff like that just kept happening, kept rolling. And I was sitting there scratching my head going, I know where this is adding up. I know with what the equation's going to turn out to be, but I didn't want to believe it. Seriously, I didn't. I thought, no, I've lived here all my life. I've never, not until recently, none of this has happened. I'm 55-year-old. I was hatched out here, raised here, probably going to die here, I guess. But I was sitting in the house watching television. Dogs go to acting stupid. Old lady looks at me. She says, "You better go outside and see." She said, "Listen real close." She said, "That's not them acting normal when a deer runs across the road. Because every now and then, if a deer runs across the road, they think one of the goats has got out because a deer is a cousin. Well, I mean, excuse me, a goat is a cousin to a deer.
Okay.
If if you go looking through the bloodlines and everything, and species wise and all that stuff. So if a deer crosses the road,
Deer and goat are
you
cousins.
know, they think one of the goats has got out. But this was a different sound. I got listening to it. And I thought, oh. Well, I've got two lots. I've got my dairy stock in one side and got my billies in the other side. So I've got two dogs in with the billies.
Okay.
The other two, they are over with the nannies, with my milking stock. So I go out, standing there next to the truck. Truck's 15 feet from the edge of the trailer. Never paid no attention. I just get down and I can see the one lot. Pebbles and Charlie is in guard formation. One's guarding the small barn. The other one's up there in the corner at the edge of the electric fence. Now, both electric fences that I've got put up, trust me, I know because I've seen me do it 3 or 4 different times. That electric fence will pop you and pop you hard. I've got it that hot.
Back.
I'm not joking. It'll jerk a blister on you. Trust me. And I started to walk past the truck, and I thought, wait a minute. What did I see? And I see something out of the corner of my eye. I turn around and look, and from the waist down, there's a leg about that big around. Just as light brown shaggy as it could possibly be.
Is that big around?
Yeah.
Oh my
Yeah.
goodness.
A leg about like that.
Huge leg.
And I'm just standing there thinking, I did not just see what I just saw. Because I've been watching Bigfoot documentaries. I've been listening to podcasts all day long at work. I said, my mind is playing tricks on me. Because, I mean, like I said, I did not want to believe it. So I go over to the barn. Flashlight's not worth a happy flip that I had with me. Walk over at the barn. There's Jethro in guard formation. There's Hercules in guard formation. Jethro's on one side of the barn. Hercules is on the other side. Goats are not coming out. They're in the barn hushed. Wasn't making a sound. Jethro and Hercules both is daring whatever to cross that fence.
Wow.
I mean, they are actually double dog daring whatever to come across that fence. So I'm standing there scratching my head going, wait just a minute. I did see what I just saw. I go back to the truck, get my pistol out, find another flashlight that's got a little bit better of a light on it because the other one I just had put it on the charger and it hadn't charged up. So I knew not to go back in the house and get it.
Okay.
Well, I go up on where it was a standing. There was a hemlock pine about 8 to 12 feet on the other side, on the pasture side of where my truck was parked. And that's where I seen, what I thought I saw, but I realized, I actually did see it out of the corner of my eye. There's 2 impressions in the ground. Like something's been standing there for probably 10 or 15 minutes.
Now standing there watching.
Just like somebody just standing there with their arms folded, watching, just not moving, not doing nothing. You could see the impressions just as pretty as you could ever see in the ground. Sad part was, right in behind my trailer is a old white pine thicket, remnants of old Christmas trees that we had from when I was a kid. They're 60 foot tall now. You can't do nothing with them. It's just, basically a windbreak. And the ground is covered about that deep in pine needles.
Okay.
So pictures and pine needles, casting material, useless when you try to use it, because you don't have enough definition there for anything.
Right.
So you could, produce the correct amount of evidence to say, look what I found, look what I've got, look what I've seen. You just have to write it off as a personal experience and go on about your business. So I go walking through that trail right there in that windbreak, following heel impressions, and I'm like, this dude's walking on his heels, because you never could see where the front toes come down into the pine needles. If he did, they were so thick it was a cushioning, and evidently I must have startled him, and he forgot how to soft step. It's the only thing I can figure out. Well, I heard a stick break behind me, because between where my truck's parked in my house and the barn, there's a natural spring right through there. It's a gravity-fed water system that we used to use when I was a kid. So that ravine is probably 12 foot, maybe 15 foot deep.
Okay.
And the amount of water is probably 6 inches wide and probably 3 inches deep max, give or take. So I'm standing there and I hear that stick pop. I know it's in that ravine. First thing popped in my head, I said, that little devil has turned right around and doubled back on me.
Whoa.
I thought, he's either going to sneak up behind me and get me, because if he wanted to bad enough, he could have had. On any encounter that we've had since 2019, if they had wanted us, they could have got us, and there wouldn't have been a darn thing in the world we could have done about it. But I heard in that creek, that little branch, I heard bipedal walking going up the creek behind me. I said, yep, you little devil, you've turned around and snuck up behind me and went back into the woods the other direction. So when daylight came and I went to work, came back, I thought, I'm going to double check and make for sure before I say anything to anybody. I know good and well this is not a figment of my imagination. I walk out through there on the same path, and yes, you could see in the pine needles where he doubled back.
Wow. And then they're so
He'd
fast.
been standing up there the whole entire time. He'd been standing up there in that pine thicket the whole entire time, watching what I was doing, going, this fool has no idea that I could get him if I wanted to any given time I wanted to.
Yep.
And, I was just trying to make for sure that I was seeing what I was seeing, looking at what I was looking at, matching everything up. All the pieces of the Bigfoot puzzle fit.
Wow.
So a little bit later on, this is before my daddy died, Evergreen
Lost Robert for a moment. Oh, he's back.
Oh, there we go. I don't know what happened.
Yeah, some kind of glitch. You're back.
Daddy had asked me, he said, what would be pecking on my window? I said, which window? He said, the one in the den. I said, Daddy, it's not a bear. My daddy used to work for the U.S. Forest Service for 38 years. He retired from it. Granted, most government employees are like military employees and like some law enforcement employees. certain things, it don't make a dime's bit of difference if you've seen it, you know about it, or if you don't say one word. I mean, it's zip, mum's word, you don't say nothing. Now, I don't know whether Daddy did or not because he was a timber technician when he was with the Forest Service. If he did see something other, he may not have known what he was looking at. I have no idea. But the window back there in the den, that window's 6 foot off the ground.
Mm.
So there's no way in the world a bear is going to stand on its hind legs and tap that window. No way.
Yep.
I told him what I thought. I told him what I thought it was.
Us.
Oh yeah. They got so used, him being here by himself after my stepmama died in the whole 9 yards. I think they sort of watched over him, and that one that I seen, and what we heard at the barn one night. I'll tell you about that. It ties in with what I seen there, and ties in with what I was telling you about Daddy. My wife was over there milking, and I had to go to the house to get something other. I can't remember now what it was. Come back. I got almost up to the gate, and I heard something other, and I thought, that's not what I heard. That is not what I heard. By the time I started to lay my hand on the gate, she comes out of the barn like a rocket. Dogs already having fits. They got in guard formation. Jethro started that growl.
Right.
She comes out of the barn like a rocket. Jethro's trying to push her back to the barn. She said, "Did you hear what I heard?" I just looked at her and grinned. I said, "You tell me what you heard." I said, "I'll tell you whether or not I heard the same thing." She said, "I got a question." I said, "Okay." She said, "They ain't no carnivals or anything along them lines coming through town or camped out anywhere, are they?"
Mm.
I said, "Well, you know better than that." I said, "We're back out here." I said, "In no man's land." I said, "There's no way." I said, "What are you getting at?" She said, "Here's the next question." I said, "Okay, what is it?" "Since when did we have monkeys in western North Carolina?"
Woo!
I just looked at her and went to grinning right real big. I said, "You heard that too, did you?" She said, "It sounded just exactly like two chimpanzees." Now, our goat fence butts up against the neighbor's house. And right up behind the neighbor's house, there's a little clearing. It usually stays about, in the summertime, about 4 foot high in weeds. Just,
Okay.
all growed up. Anything could go up there and just sit down in those weeds. And if it don't move, you'll never see it. And that's exactly where it sounded like that noise was coming from. It sounded just exactly like two chimps you'd hear in a zoo or on Mutual Omaha's Wild Kingdom or, whatever TV show you want to turn on. Sounded just exactly like two chimpanzees are playing. And then all of a sudden, hushed. She said, "Why did they do that?" I said, "I guarantee you," I said, "Mama's come down there and made them shut up." Now, judging from the prints that I found in behind the truck and the size of the leg that I saw, I mean, it's just plumb hairy. It wasn't bear hair. It wasn't deer hair. We don't have any wild hogs or any of the sort like that around here. He couldn't have been too daggum old, probably I mean, in human perspective, probably right around maybe 15-year-old. So I nicknamed him Junior.
That's right, Junior. The
I
Bigfoot
nicknamed
on his
him Junior
property
because
is
I
named
couldn't think of
Junior.
anything else. So we got in East Tennessee, we've got alfalfa. Over
Alfalfa.
here, we got over here in North Carolina, we got Junior.
Oh, I got a
Now
question
the
for you,
rest,
Robert.
sure.
This is, I whenever we do a show, I'm always throwing this phrase out there, from the movie The Mothman Prophecies. The quote in that movie is, "You noticed them, and they noticed that you noticed that." With that said, did your sighting of Junior happen prior or after the sighting of the blonde Sasquatch that dove headfirst into that thicket like a cat?
This one happened about a year and a half ago.
Okay. All right.
I discovered Junior about a year and a half ago.
Wow. So this is after your first original sighting. So this falls in line with, remember the lady we talked about that you and George went out with? Yeah, we got the video out there on the podcast show we did on NCI, everybody, by the way. You did a quick little investigative video because a woman had seen a Sasquatch. It looked at her, it got eye contact with her, and then walked away. All right. Here's my thing. So my mind speak that happened coming out of the house. I don't think, your thinking evolves as you go along. I think so many of
Yeah,
our sightings basically is we see them after they've been watching us for a while. It was here at my house, and then I came out to take the garbage back. Then it decided to speak to me just outside of the light. All right. That lady probably saw that Bigfoot that you went and investigated after it'd been watching her for a few minutes. Your property, they've been sitting around watching you for God knows how long. So
exactly.
it's what we've talked about on the show. They are just as intrigued, just as interested in us as we are of them. It's just that we don't see them all the time. We're in our phones. We're driving our cars. We're going to Walmart 5 times a day. I laugh because I got a couple here. Between the husband and the wife, I will see her go to Walmart, come back. I will see him go to Walmart, come back. Then I'll see them both go to Walmart and come back. We are so busybody all the time, and these things know how to stay exactly still. And then when we do see them, it's just by happenstance. Either they move or they allow us to see them, and then we see them basically after they've been watching us for a while. And that's the crazy part, man.
The strange thing between Junior and that lady at George and I went and done a what we call a micro investigation. We're just basically, seeing what we could find. 6 miles through the woods, and you'll come out in that lady's front yard.
Oh, you gotta be kidding me. There's the
No.
connection.
Well, here's the thing. In my opinion, from the way she described everything, it's either a different clan or either that was part of Junior's clan. Because I've never seen none of the rest of them.
Interesting. And it seems to be the juveniles that I think even the one, this recent one in the Monroe, because it happened twice. It happened to the father and the son, and then it happened to a friend of mine when he was out there looking in the same area. It was up in a tree and then it jumped down, but it seems to be the smaller adolescent ones that blow their own cover. The adults really know how to control themselves, stay hidden. But these adolescents, well, it's like, you got kids, our human kids, they can't sit still for more than 5 minutes. I think it's the same thing.
Well, and two, I've got another theory on that. Uh, I think the reason why a lot of people seeing quite a few juveniles, the juveniles can move quicker and faster than the adults, in my opinion. So
Makes
why
sense.
not use them as a distraction, get everybody's mind on the juvenile, have them chasing him, whether it be by a set of binoculars, a camera, or actual, taking off after them by foot. The rest of them is just going to conserve their energy, ease right in behind you, circle back, go where they're supposed to go. the juvenile knows exactly where they're supposed to meet up at because they know the woods more than we do. And because, they're in it 24/7. They don't go into enclosed buildings, sit down, watch TV and everything else like humans do. I mean,
Right.
they're creatures of their own habit and they're creatures of mercy of the nature. So they know a lot more than we do. And I mean, I'm not throwing off on the human race by no means. I'm just, stating facts.
Right.
People don't go back out into the woods as deep as they used to did. People do not pay attention in the woods like they used to did.
No, we don't live. We don't live off the land anymore. We go to the grocery store.
No,
We don't have to dig deep into the forest to find critters to eat, to find plants to eat.
exactly. And a lot of people, they'll miss out on that perspective that, they think, well, I went hiking 3 times this year. I'm an outdoor expert. No, you're
I
not.
got, I got my new
No, you're
hiking
not an
shoes.
expert on anything. You might know what a chickadee looks like on a limb at 60 yards through a pair of binoculars, but when it comes to cryptid creatures, nobody's an expert.
Right.
George
Right.
is not an expert. I'm not an expert. Tim's not an expert. Jerry's not an expert. Anybody, to me, if you use the word expert, that means that you've learned everything that there is to learn. You know everything that there is to know. You no longer have anything else to teach anyone. And there's nobody on this planet, I don't care if it's a basketball player, professional wrestler, pool player, cryptozoologist, I don't care who you are. In my opinion, the word expert, no, there's no experts in this world. When you
I
become an
totally agree.
expert, in my opinion, when you become an expert, is the day God calls you home and you've drawed your last breath, and then you're going to learn more after that. Because your race that you run, you're an expert on that, but you ain't an expert on nothing else.
Amen. Amen. And I totally agree because your double backstory, what Robert was just saying, everybody, if you're still watching, is there are no experts in the field of Sasquatch research, investigating. There are no experts. We're constantly learning. If somebody says they're an expert, they're lying. But
Exactly.
the story about Junior, how Junior doubled back on you, that reminds me, and I forget the researcher. He's got a bunch of videos out there. I really like him, but he's got the one game camera video where you see a Sasquatch book across the screen, then you see a hunter, which is definitely smaller than the Sasquatch, go hot on this Sasquatch's heel, but then this Sasquatch, you can see him at the bottom of the screen. He doubled back like you're talking about, and this hunter's looking all around trying to find out where he went, and this Sasquatch is right behind him. I forget the guy's name, but yes, so when you said that about Junior, that's exactly it. If you see one, more than likely you're surrounded by a clan already.
Oh, yeah. Now, that video you was talking about, George had that happen to him and Harley over in East Tennessee. When George and Harley hollered at me on the radio and told me what was going on, I was in front of them. I was in full decked out camo. The only thing you could basically see was the white of my eyes. I mean, that's how. I mean, I
Right.
basically looked like a hemlock tree. Basically, I didn't have the ghillie suit on or nothing like that. Because to me, in my opinion, a ghillie suit is, you're asking for trouble going in the woods wearing one.
Get shot, whatever. Yeah.
Yeah, somebody might mistake you for the $1 million
Oh,
bounty,
yeah, that too.
and then as we say here in the South and Western North Carolina, you do something other like that stupid, the groundhog is going to bring you your mail.
Yes.
But they hollered at me on the radio, And I heard something other coming. Sounded like a bulldozer. So I just backed up and I thought, well, he's going to run over me or something other. So I went reaching for my pistol. Because I thought, if he runs over me, I'm going to at least get one shot off and at least get a little bit of evidence of some sort, whether it's my evidence or his. That's the first thing that I thought of. He got within about 35, 40 yards of me and just absolute stopped. I couldn't see him. The laurel thicket was that thick, I couldn't see him, but I could see the bushes and everything moving, and before he got to me, we hadn't seen no critters like squirrels, chipmunks, birds, or anything. There was 6 crows come out of that laurel thicket. It looked like it'd been shot out of a cannon. That was the only thing we'd seen all day. He stopped about 40 feet, or not 40 feet, 40 yards in front of me. And I had my wife at the lower end. She was about 90 yards down the trail. I could still see sight of her. And she had a radio, and she was armed like I was. And George and Harley blowing the radio up. Where'd he go? Where'd he go? And I said, guys, he's 40 yards in front of me. I said, he stopped. I didn't hear him turn around. Well, they come out about where he was at, and they had to walk right by him. He double turned and went right-handed, double back behind George and Harley, went off the bank, down into the creek, and went back up the other side. And nobody laid eyes on him because he was not there. On that particular day, the weather was extremely nasty. 1 minute it was pouring the snow. Next minute it was pouring the sleet. The next minute it was raining. And I mean, the water and everything on the ground, probably about that deep. Everything was just, wet, dank, nasty. We found a lot of prints, but we couldn't catch none of it. And there's so much water on the ground. Every time you tried to take a picture of it with a camera, there was so much glare, pictures didn't do nothing justice. I mean, it was the worst possible conditions that you could ever think of to try to obtain evidence. I mean, granted, we've seen some wonderful things. We got some wonderful tree structures, yes. But as far as Bigfoot prints, yeah, we saw them. No, we didn't get them on camera. No, we did not catch them. We found one of the best dogman prints that I've ever seen in my whole entire life. Again, the weather was so nasty. We saw it. We couldn't catch it. We couldn't take a picture of it.
Here's my opinion about that. They know, because when I find, my one particular location specifically, I will always find footprints on the riverbanks, because they know that river is always going up, always going down. Those footprints are going to get washed away. And it's like the Sasquatch know when the weather's going to change, when the storm's going to come in, and their evidence of their own footprints is going to be wiped clean, washed away and wiped clean. Yeah.
They're not stupid by no means. I mean, seriously, they're not. I've had people ask me, said, well, what do you mean? What are you talking about on this soft step stuff? You've got a creature 8 foot tall, 450 pound, give or take. Why is it not leaving impressions in the ground every time it steps about this deep?
Yep.
Well, it's simple. They've been around since the days of the Indians, the Cherokee, the Apache, Comanche, Sioux, you name it. They've been around. They've associated with them. And anybody that knows anything about Geronimo, this is the only example that I can come up with that, I mean, it fits, it makes logical sense. Anybody can read it, anybody can Google it, you can go to the library, it don't make no difference, the information is there. I mean, there's no lie about it. Geronimo broke into the army camps. He stole horses, he stole ammunition, he stole food, he stole clothing, whatever he wanted to steal. They might be 200 soldiers there, 50 soldiers, ever how many that was sent out to go try to catch him. He'd break in, steal what he wanted to, never leave a footprint one.
Never leave
They'd
any
chase him
evidence
out.
that he was there.
No, none. And they'd
Yep.
chase him out into these open fields. And everybody said, well, if they chased him out into an open field, why didn't they catch him? Well, here's again where, like I said, I'm not throwing off on the human race, but people don't think.
Right.
Back
Right.
then, you didn't have John Deere riding lawnmowers and cutting open fields down to about this deep.
Yeah.
The grass in those fields back in those days, probably 8 foot tall, give or take. He buried up in the grass. They walked all over top of him, throwed cigarette butts down on top of him, spit tobacco juice on top of him. Whatever horses probably defecated on him, peed on him, or whatever. And they had no idea, no clue. He was even there trying to figure out where he went.
Yep.
So if Geronimo could go that long and without getting caught, because he basically gave himself up because he got tired of being chased and got tired of running. Who's to say Bigfoot can't do the same confounded thing, if not worse?
Without a doubt. And those are the misconceptions. The number one misconception is Bigfoot doesn't exist. The number two misconception is that, well, maybe he does exist, but he's somewhere out in the Northwest and it's only one Bigfoot. And if he is there, he's an ape. So we've got that stuck in our brain. Now, the Patterson Gimlin film attributed it to that point of view, but now with us getting deeper with what you just said about the story of Geronimo, and then I had a guy on by the name of Ernie Davio, eyewitnesses like Angie Elizabeth, they've had up close and personal interaction and communication with these beings, and they are very human-like. They are very intelligent. They are just, to me, another type of human tribe. Whether they're Neanderthal, I think they're their own species, but they are very intelligent. So we got to do away with that ape-type mentality, that Gigantopithecus mentality. I do believe Gigantopithecus existed, but it wasn't ape. What we're talking about here is something different. It's a whole other species of humanoid, basically, is what I believe,
Well, I'm about like you. I think they are a species all to their own.
Yep.
They are so in tune with nature because people today are not in tune to nature. I don't care. Call it what you want to. These new age, I call them tree huggers, but
Yes.
they swear that they swear that they're in tune to this. No, they are not. Because you can ask them certain questions. Granted, my grandma was 3/4 Cherokee, and she believed and she used quite a bit of the old ways and old medicine and everything. She wouldn't go to the doctor or go to the hospital unless she was drawing her last breath. That's how devout she was to the way she was raised growing up. You went out into the woods, you got herbs, you done this, that, and the other.
Right.
And to me, I think secretly, she never did admit it, but I think secretly, my grandmother was a medicine woman, if I was going to guess.
Yeah. Sure.
But she wouldn't admit to it. No. Mm-mm.
But back then they needed to be. What do you do if your child falls sick? You better know how to go out and get the right plants, some kind of herbs to bring healing to that child. You better know how to nurse your family back to health. And what do you think they did back there in those days? They knew how to do that. That is an ability that is long lost. If the Walmart, and I'm being a little bit harsh right now, but if the Walmart in town here closed down, I don't know what people would do. So I see the same people
know
there
exactly
5
how
times a
you
day.
feel.
Yeah.
We've got, as bad as I hate to say it, during the hurricane, Helene, one of the Ingalls supermarkets in the next county over got destroyed. Got I mean, I think they said the wall of water was 10 foot high in the store, so it ruined everything.
Sure.
Well, the only grocery store in that county is Walmart. Everybody's losing their mind over that Ingles. And I'm like, why are you losing your mind? You've got the highest place in the world to buy anything that you're wanting to come back, but yet you're sitting there. I mean, yeah, Walmart's, you know, it's good and bad in anything, but at least you got a grocery store. And, you know, like you said, if Walmart shut down, these people lose. Ingles shut down, and these people are losing their religion over it, so to speak.
Yeah, yeah, and
And
I'm
I can't figure
glad.
out why.
Yep, and to build upon that, and then we'll wrap it up. Is I'm glad I have had um, the blessing of knowing life, what it was like before the internet as well. I love the
Oh,
internet.
yeah.
I love stuff like what we're doing tonight. I love the information. You know, we're all increasing in knowledge. It's fun for entertainment purposes. But I'm also glad that I know what it's like to not have the internet. When I used to go out on my bike and go to the pond and go turtle hunting, you know, that was, we would, what me and my group of buddies, we would walk for miles down the river and it'd be, you know, waist deep and we would just explore. I miss those days, you know? So I guess I'm saying I am thankful for both, but I'm glad I know what it's like to not have the internet. Because yes, what would people do if everything shut down? How would they get their entertainment? How would they get their food? How would they survive? How would we all survive? Yeah, we need to be educated on all that.
It wouldn't be a pretty sight, that's for sure. I mean, granted, we saw how people acted during COVID,
That's right.
and
Toilet paper, my
I was,
goodness.
I had to look at society in a kind of side eye, like, seriously, you people are going to actually act like this? I
Yep,
mean, granted, you know, it was a bad situation, but God gave you a brain and gave you some brain cells and some common sense to go with it. Just apply it, and you know, don't let stuff like that just rule your world. Because
amen.
like my grandma always said, and I always got tickled when she said it. She said, "I don't know who led you to believe that the sun rises and sets in the crack of your hind end, but I'm here to tell you right now, it don't." And I mean, that was the attitude everybody had during COVID, was the sun rose and set in the crack of their butt.
Yep,
No, I hate to break their heart. Whoever told them that and got them believing that, they lied.
yep, for sure. For sure. All right, my friend, we're going to end it on that note. I love keeping my episodes right around an hour. We are at 1 hour and 13 minutes. Robert, man, can't imagine a better interview. Just like all the members of team members of NCI. What a great group, guys, we got going here. And I am blessed to be a part of it. Thank you for being on the Bigfoots of America podcast show tonight. I'm going to go ahead, put you in the green room, wrap it up, and then I'll be right back in touch with you, okay? Be right back.
Thank you, buddy.
Thank you, Robert. All right, everybody. That is Robert Effler, Robert Glenn Effler. You know what? I'm going to bring him back on. I forgot to do something. Hey, my friend, you there? I want
Yeah, here I am.
I want you to tell everybody where they can find you at. Facebook, whatever. You know, TikTok, where are you at? Where can people find you?
On Instagram, you can find me at nci.rob. TikTok, I ain't paid no attention to I set that up in a while. I think it's NCI Podcast and Research Team on TikTok. And you can
Okay.
also holler at me on Facebook, either one, and I'll get back to you as quick as I can. And the rest of the time, subscribe to Channel 12 TV Network. I believe it's $9.99 a month. No contracts, no commitments. Canceled anytime. You can catch the rest of the NCI team, and we're all there every Tuesday and Thursday.
That's right. Perfect, Robert. All right. I'll talk to you in a minute. All right, everybody. That's Robert Glenn Effler. Check him out on Facebook. He's got the TikTok. I'll try to add those links in the notes below. Man, fantastic, man. Bigfoot Eyewitness, just so knowledgeable. Such a pleasure to have him on the show. Like he said, Tuesdays and Thursdays on the Channel 12 TV network app. Man, get a hold of that. $9.99 is a new platform, and we've got a whole group of great people who are help build that product, that platform. Everything costs so much nowadays that it's neat to have something that only costs $9.99, and you can tune in and just have a whole bunch of different type of TV shows, especially the paranormal, if you're interested. So what I've got to say now is thanks for tuning in to another episode of the Bigfoots of America podcast show, episode 28 with Robert Glenn Effler. Thanks for tuning in. We can't do this show without you people watching, and we can't do this show, of course, without Bigfoot. So as always, stay tuned for more of the Bigfoots of America podcast show.